Is this meant to be highly comedic? Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I am reacting to Jethro Tull. We're going to be listening and watching Aqualung live in London 1977. So let's get into this.
Sitting on the park bench by the little girls who live bad intent. So not running down his nose, greasy fingers smearing shabby clothes. Whoa, Aqualung, like drying in the cold sun, watching as the fray bandits run. Whoa, Aqualung, I'm feeling like a dead duck, spitting out pieces of his broken luck. Whoa, Aqualung, Sun Street.
Okay, first of all, highly entertaining. Second of all, I feel like this is what would happen if you gave a bard a rock band, but also blues singing training. That run came out of nowhere. That was amazing. And then his facial expressions, it really gives me this feeling of like, I'm telling this amazing story. And it gives me like throwback vibes to what I imagine a bard would have sounded like trying to entertain everyone, because that's their job and they have to be larger than life, because otherwise people might find them boring. I don't know. This is certainly interesting visually for me to watch his facial expressions and his physical movements. And yeah, I just want to listen to his singing a bit more, I think, because his articulation is amazing. We've got some very round vowels, which is interesting. And I want more. I'm going to keep watching so I can give a more accurate breakdown, but off the jump, that thoroughly unexpected and highly enjoyable. Let's keep going.
Sun streaking cold, an old man wandering lonely, taking time the only way he knows. Like hurting bands as he bends to pick a target, when he goes down to the bog and warms his feet.
They did something to the vocals there. It's almost the same effect that you get if you were to put like a delay on your mic line through a PA, which I guess is very well what they could have done. But he suddenly sounds so much larger than life. It sounds like his voice is everywhere, that there's almost two voices to him. And that's a very clever trick, actually, if you're doing any kind of production work. If you have only your voice, but you want it to sound almost like a group of people, or if you want it to sound like a choir and you might be recording the same line, different lines, harmony lines, doubling, whatever. If you add just a little bit of delay, or you change the start of the vocal line to just a smidge after the lead melody line, you'll suddenly start to sound like a group of people. It's really cool, actually. You play around with it if you've got a digital audio workstation. I don't know. But let's just go back and catch when that change happened. Again, I'm getting this bard telling a story feeling.
He knows.
The speech quality is amazing. Speech quality being the means to express in the same intention as you would if you were talking. So being able to articulate and treat it as if he's actually telling this amazing, engaging story that's his approach. And in order to pull that off, you need a speech dominant sound sometimes. And his speech quality, that speech approach, is just sitting in really nicely. It's just the extent of his articulation that at first made me feel almost musical theater, bard-like, and it contrasted to what I was expecting with the rock elements. So let's keep going.
In the only way he knows. Like hurting bands as he bends to pick a target when he goes down to the bog and warms his feet. Feeling alone, and the army's on the road. Salvation and the mood, and a cup of tea.
Actually, that just reminded me of someone who's perhaps a more recent performer. You maybe are aware of him, Tim Minchin. Not the same delivery style, but very expressive. It's more about to do with the placement that I'm going to mention now. Every now and again, he shifts the sound forward and almost more nasalized as it goes forward. So he's got this, to some of his lines, and it just makes the articulation cut even more through, I guess, the textures that are behind him, although it's not really a very full texture right now. We're very much relying on the vocals for our storytelling. But I thought that was interesting to note. And when I kept paying attention to that shift forward throughout his phrasing, it really did remind me of things that Tim Minchin does as well as a performer. So we're going to keep going.
Cup of tea. Aqualung, my friend, don't you start away uneasy. Your poor old heart, how you see, it's only me. You know it. Do you still remember December's foggy breeze, when the ice that clings on to your beard was screaming agony, and you snatch your rattling last breaths with deep sea diving sounds, and the flowers bloom like madness in the spring. Sun streaking cold, an old man wandering lonely, taking time the only way he knows. Like hurting bats as he bends to pick a dog end, he goes down to the bog and warms his feet. Feeling alone, the army's up the road. Salvation element and a cup of tea. Aqualung, my friend, don't you stand away uneasy. You poor old son, you think it's only me.
My goodness, his physical portrayal on stage right now is insane. I feel like I'm almost watching a combination of musical entertainment, a bard performing, elements of clowning, like the physical humor that's coming into this performance. This is probably different to anything that I've ever seen outside of the context of musical or physical theater, which is not what I would normally ascribe this kind of instrumentation to, if I'm honest. Yes, of course, now we have musicals that are like rock musicals, but there's still a certain musical theateriness about it. That's not a very good way of describing it, but you can tell it was written for that purpose. And I could dive further on into what the musical theateriness means, but maybe in a different video if I ever react to more musical theater. Then we'll talk about it. But for right now, I'm also loving how he's manipulating his sound, especially when he gets really low or starts to play with touches of distortion. He's not just clean sounds all the time. He really is shifting his voice around to achieve a particular musical goal. It's very engaging, very entertaining. So we are going to keep moving because this is 8 minutes and 21 seconds long. So we're going to keep going. I'm sorry, what? Is this meant to be highly comedic? Because I'm finding the way that they're expressing themselves, where they're deciding to just cut the music off, where they're going in a different direction, you're expecting it to go to a certain place, and then they just subvert that expectation. I wasn't expecting the music to stop. That guitar solo, by the way, was highly enjoyable. Like, I quite liked that. And now I suppose we're into the next section of our bard's song. Yes, I'm so glad that it came back around so I can point it out. You can hear subtle moments of distortion in his sound. It weaves in and out of his clean singing, so I'm not 100% sure if it's deliberate or if it has just come about because I don't know how long he's been performing right now, or if it's just come about because he's getting a little bit more draggy with his vocal delivery. He's putting a little bit more weight into it, a touch more squeeze. So we want it with this almost breakage to the sound because we're not quite as supported going through that part of the phrase. Regardless, it sounds great within the texture. So let's just listen to that again. Yeah, so you can hear it coming off the tail end of some of those notes.
Aqualung, my friend, don't you start away uneasy. Your poor old heart, oh, you see, it's only me. Oh, you know it's only me. Sitting on the park bench, while little girls with bad intent. Snot running down his nose, yeah. Greasy fingers smearing shabby clothes. Whoa, Aqualung, he's drying in the cold sun. I'm watching as the parade and panties run. Oh, Aqualung, I'm feeling like a dead duck, spitting out pieces of his broken luck.
Okay, let's talk about this. So he's going through these pitches and approaching this luck. It sounds so R&B blues. Can you guys hear it too? I'm really enjoying this. It's almost like a mishmash of different influences. Is this their performance style in all of their numbers? Because it's intriguing. Like, I want to see how not necessarily how far they go, but what else they bring into their performances. Because I mean, the closest thing to his particular sound that I've probably listened to recently was, in fact, the Bard song, was probably my Blind Guardian reaction, which if you haven't watched that reaction, I mean, you can go off and watch it as well if you want to see the connection. But sort of the approach, that roundness of tone, that articulation, the intention for the words to come across as very, I am telling a story, this expressiveness that they're putting into their delivery styles. I can hear some parallels between those two sounds. Not saying that they're at all related, but just in my most recent listening history. So this is very interesting, both the entertainment form, but also where these different musical styles are coming through. And also, don't underestimate the melody that he is singing here. There's one particular line where I think it would be quite easy for the voice to get confused on. But this is very entertaining, very interesting to watch. But yeah, that run, it's just a moment of, wow, that feels so stylistically like not what I was expecting at all. And yet he's integrated it into a very entertaining means of delivering this song. So let's keep going. Oh, oh, okay. Wow. Oh my god.
Thank you very kindly. Cheers, thanks a lot. I'm having another water now.
Oh wow. I was almost expecting him to go to the mic and be like, thank you very kindly, I'm gonna go get water. Like, for him to continue this almost, I want to say almost like crazily flamboyant movements going up onto his arms. It feels like a crazy physical representation of the intention of this particular song. I feel like I'm confused between the lyrics and what he did physically. And so I think I need to just Google quickly what on earth the connection might be, because I can appreciate the different things that he did physically and also vocally. He pretty much stayed in the same place. I would say that it's a first register dominant sound. Demonstrated flexibility with that little blues-esque run that he kept popping into the main melody there. And of course, flexibility and agility to move through different parts of his range. But also, he had the ears to move in and out of the tone of the music changing, which is what I meant earlier by the melody is a little bit more complicated than perhaps we're going to give it credit for, because the tone of the music does change and you need to be able to navigate those changes. And for all his flitting about and moving his hands in his face and his legs and doing spins and back bends, he's 100% accurate. I didn't hear a single bung note in that entire performance, which sometimes can happen if you're not across what's going to happen musically. So for all his flamboyance on stage with his movements and that almost clown, physical theater, those kinds of entertainment mediums that come into it. And by clown, I mean the art of actual clowning, like it's a legitimate art form and people have to learn how to do it, and it connects quite well to physical theater actually sometimes. Those elements, he's staying on top of his music. So for all of that, he's bang on. His accuracy and his ability to maintain tone center, intention, dynamics, stamina, that's all there. I need to know more about Aqualung though, because I am a little confused. So this is from a website called Song Facts. This song deals with our reaction to the homeless population. Oh, wow, okay. Jethro Tull, vocalist and flute player Ian Anderson, wrote the song and called it a guilt-ridden song of confusion about how you deal with beggars, the homeless. Interesting, a guilt-ridden song of confusion, because there were moments there where it was very entertaining, but I almost felt bad for laughing because I wasn't 100% sure whether, I mean, obviously for him it seems very intentional now, but sometimes we do watch people who are either entertainers or out in the public. Like if someone was behaving like this out in the public, I would probably be feeling quite bad for them. I'd be feeling quite sympathetic. I would think that maybe something is wrong and that they probably needed help. And that's the kind of physical demonstration that he gave. So for all the elements that I found comedic, knowing that it's part of a performance, yeah, those physical attributes taken outside of the realm of entertainment and let's say just put into the general public, absolutely, I could see it changing how we respond to the music, which is, those are layers. Those layers there, though, amazing. Jethro and Ian, good job. Because I did feel that actually in moments there where I like laughed, but I was like, oh, should I be laughing at this? It was, yeah, a little chaotic at times, and a guilt-ridden song of confusion about how you deal with beggars. That guilt-ridden song about confusion that seems to check out. Elaborating in the 40th anniversary reissue of the album, he said, "It's about our reaction of guilt, distaste, awkwardness, and confusion. All these things that we feel when we're confronted with the reality of the homeless. You see someone who's clearly in desperate need of your help, whether it's a few coins or the contents of your wallet, and you blank them out. The more you live in that business-driven, commercially driven lifestyle, you can just cease to see them." I think that this is a very interesting topic. How would you react? How do you normally react? How bad is homelessness where you live? These are all questions. I must confess we do have a homeless population in the state where I live, but I don't know if it's as big as other places where the problem might feel completely overwhelming, so it becomes impossible for you to feel like you can actually help as well. In this song, Aqualung is a homeless man with poor hygiene. Ian Anderson wrote it about a character he made based on actual photographs of transient men. Ian's wife at the time, Jenny, was an amateur photographer and had brought the pictures for Ian to look at. Many of the lyrics are Ian describing the men in the pictures. Okay, I feel like with the context of what's happening behind the song, so many things make so much more sense now, from how he portrayed things physically to some of the lyrical choices, which sounded almost like we're in La La Storyland. But if they're a portrayal of what you're seeing visually, I actually think it would be very helpful to perhaps listen to it again and have those visuals handy to have like a look at each time those lyrics that they're relevant to come by. That's amazing. This is Jethro Tull's most famous song, but it was not released as a single because it was too long, it was too episodic. It starts off with a loud guitar riff and then goes into a rather more laid-back acoustic stuff. Led Zeppelin at the time, they didn't release any singles. And I mean, yes, there's a huge component of songwriting that needs to look at marketability. And I think this is where certain genres and certain styles of music sort of hit a roadblock together, because there are going to be some basic rules for something to be more marketable. One of those things is the time length. How long is the song? How neat do the bits fit together? How easily accessible are the lyrics or the musical content within? Those are some very basic parameters for marketability if you're looking at songs. An aqualung is a portable breathing apparatus for divers. Okay, I didn't know that because I don't dive. Anderson envisioned the homeless man getting that nickname because of breathing problems. He got the idea from watching a TV show called Sea Hunt, where there was a lot of heavy underwater breathing and where the main character wore an aqualung. What Anderson didn't know is that Aqualung was a brand name, and the Aqualung Corporation of North America took legal action after the album came out. The case was eventually dropped, but the threat of a lawsuit was troubling to Anderson. Oh my god. I mean, classic corporation. That's not fair. The album cover was a watercolor painting of the character Aqualung, created by the artist Burton Silverman. Terry Ellis, who was Jethro Tull's manager, commissioned him after seeing his work in Time magazine. Okay, so I'm going to link this particular website in the description box so that you guys can go and read the rest of this if this is at all interesting to you. But I'm very glad that I looked into some of the lyrics and the meaning of the lyrics, because oh my goodness, there's just so many layers to this song now. The physical portrayal, the lyrical portrayal, the vocal intention, but his facial expressions, where it feels like things are slightly on edge. Like you could be a little bit crazy, or you could be a little bit all over the place. Well, this has been an absolute experience. I've actually very much enjoyed his vocal approach. I thought he's got a wonderful voice. There's a lot of warmth in it. His speech quality was incredible. His accuracy, hopping around those notes, existing in different musical, like tonal spaces, was fantastic. I truly think that this was an excellent performance, and connecting it to this background, I mean, a very meaningful look, I suppose, at society and how we react, because like I said earlier, for me, knowing that this is meant to be a show, entertainment, and not knowing anything about the background, I see these things that he's doing and I enjoy the showmanship and the playfulness of it. Taking it out of that arena, again, very different reaction, I suppose, which is the whole point of the song. So, social experiment achieved. How did you guys react to this? Were you aware of the background of this particular song? I feel like I could definitely watch it again and get even more of those subtleties, particularly within the lyrics this time around. So I think I might do that. But as far as analysis for this particular song, that is where I am going to leave it today. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown with me. I feel like I spent most of my time just trying to mentally navigate what was happening visually, vocally, and lyrically. And now combined with everything, this was actually a kind of a special experience, I suppose, to have that sense of reflection afterwards, now that I have more information, but for things that were in that reflection to have already been happening when I was initially watching it without having any kind of background. That's amazing, because you can acknowledge, yes, absolutely, I felt a particular way listening and watching this without any of the information that's behind the song. So that is where I'm going to leave it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, click the subscribe button and the bell notification beside it for more just like this one. As usual, I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye. We are going to be reacting to Aqualung live in London. Live in London, 1977. So without further ado, let's get into it.